Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. Come on. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Hello and welcome to another episode here at West Coast Dogman Project. I'm your host, Shane Michael Crisp, and I'm honored to have tonight the one and only Dark Woods. Dark Woods, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Hey, and I'm honored to have you. I know I've been waiting for this for a few months. I think we started talking in March about trying to coordinate this, and I always try to put people a couple months out just to give them the time and respect, to have to postpone or reschedule or do something. But hey, here we are. So honored to have you tonight, brother. Yeah, if you don't mind giving us a little brief bio on yourself for the people that aren't too familiar with you, Dark Woods.
Sure. I live up in northern Wisconsin. Moved up here in 2019. Where I live, there's Woods 360 right up against the house. A lot of forest out here, a lot of marshland, a lot of big lakes, and there's a river about 15 minutes behind the house. So it's real beautiful up here. Wildlife, bear, sometimes mountain lions, eagles, all that stuff. And my first interest in cryptids was in 2018, and then my first encounters started happening in 2019. So I only racked about 4 years of experience, but I have a lot of unique evidence, and so does Primal Cry. And they coexist with us up there, and they, meaning we call them the forest people, but they would be understood as Sasquatch or dogmen,
Now, your first encounter, was it with a Sasquatch or was it a dogman that you saw?
Actually both.
At the same time, huh? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, there was a female dogman, a young juvenile dogman, or like a baby dogman or whatever, and a big male dogman and a Sasquatch, all together in a group within 20 feet in the woods.
Wow. So right there, that just shows you that they do coexist right then. Or, I mean, a lot of people ask me, these things are apex predators. You think they'd rip each other from limb to limb? But honestly, I mean, if you just saw them within 20 yards of each other, I mean, right there just shows you that they're, coexisting. So that right there is another check in the box of, hey, that checks out, So
that's right.
And we actually have some photographs that I know you'd sent me, and these are really good photos. I don't want to ruin them, so I'll let you explain them when we throw them up on the screen. So,
okay.
But I wanted to ask you, Dark Woods, how many encounters have you had with the dogman and Sasquatch all together within the last 4 years? Could you say it was more than 20, more than 30, or less than that?
It was less than that. And some of the encounters, you can have encounters without actually seeing them, So I would say less than 10 for sure. But
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but I found a lot of evidence along the way. And then we do have photographs, like some of the photographs that we took, because they blend in so good into their environment and stuff, you just really don't understand that they're there. And someone noticed something in the photo, so we started going through all our photos. And like one time I was snow blowing the driveway, and there is a 14-foot Sasquatch at the end of the driveway behind a bunch of pines. And you could see his hands and everything clearly. So
now, how did you gauge that he was 14 feet? Did you go out there later on the next day with a measuring tape, or did you just kind of size it up from?
There was a busted birch in the picture that he was standing next to, and he was standing between two trees, and his mass was wide enough to be shown on each side of the tree, and you could see half of his face because the sun was starting to set, and you could see it on one side of his face. But he was looking between the trees at me in the driveway. When I was at the top of the driveway, we got kind of a long driveway that goes down and curves. We get a lot of snow up here, so I had a snow thrower. Now it's throwing snow, so maybe it was amused watching me do that or something, but never knew he was there, and one of the pictures that I sent you of a dog man, I didn't even know was following me down the trail. It was right behind me.
I know. I was
So
looking at the photo earlier, and I've got it on the second screen right now, and I'm just like so blown away. I mean, you clearly can see the definition, the ears pointed up, the snout. It's trying to hide, but I'm like, you literally picked them out. And I mean, the black and white filter really does it justice. But I bet you the original photo, you probably couldn't see anything with all the foliage and the tree branches and stuff.
yeah, and like when I encountered what I called the group with the 3 dogmen and the Sasquatch,
Mhm.
when I encountered them, there was a lot of weird things that happened in that encounter. But initially, I thought it was a black bear, and I actually looked at that. But you could probably look at one of these things straight on, and your brain will be like, "That's a black bear." I don't know if it does it out of protecting you, but
Right.
I took that photo. I have a photo of all 4 in the group, and even the whole thing goes far left field with the photo because of high strangeness in that picture outside
Mhm.
of the cryptids. Yeah, that picture's a unique, one of a kind.
Yeah, it
But
really is.
yeah, and due to the fact that the woods they're standing in don't even exist in the woods behind my house where I seen them. So
I like with what you and Primal Cry have done with just growing your Facebook group to, I mean, you have over what I think believe it's 16 or 1700 people. You started that just not too long ago, wasn't it? Sometime last year.
yeah, last year, but we're at like 1.4K. Hats off to Josh Turner
Uh,
from Paranormal Roundtable. He apparently had advised a lot of people to go check out our group, and so that's what he did.
mhm. Well, and that's what I
So
say. You've got such great evidence with what you've with the photographs, and I know there's people in the community that say, "Oh, red circles, it's pareidolia, blah blah blah." But then again, it's like they weren't there. Like the photo that I'm looking at right now is probably one of the clearest I've seen of a dogman. There's only probably 5 people in the dogman community that have really legit photos, and you're one of them with this dogman photo that I've seen. Paul Chafin being another one. That's how I got into the whole field, was because of
okay,
Paul. David from Texas as well. Other people like that have really good evidence, and it's just your photos have always captivated me. I think it was when I was doing an interview with Carlito and you had jumped on, and I believe Primal Cry was in the chat too, and I was like, wait,
yeah,
and then you started sharing them through multiple Facebook groups, and I was just like, man, Woods has got a lot of good pictures,
yeah, I
and
was
that's why I
very
was just so
lucky.
honored just to see them, and you'd shared them, and then when you guys started Primal Cry in the Dark Woods, that was just like, wow, here you guys go. And then it just went from there. If you want to see good evidence, good photos, I mean, that's one thing I always tell people is I never claim that it's dog, man. I never claim anything, but I mean, there's clearly something in your photos that you see. Me, I try to zoom in. I got away from the whole research for a while, but I'm
Yeah,
now getting back into the photographs. I'm like, you know what? It's my eyes that are seeing it. I'm not claiming it. It's this, but this is what I see. But then you got 20
right.
other people that see it. You get that one naysayer that's like, oh, I don't see nothing. It's tree branches or it's a leaf. Okay, then get out of here with your bad self. There's
Yeah,
clearly other people see
well,
the same thing.
there is a difference when you see it with your own eyes. There's no way no one can tell you any different. It's the
Yeah,
truth.
and
So
you've got great evidence. And before we go further along in the interview, Darkwoods, I just want to give a shout out to everyone that showed up real quick.
sure.
Go down the list. Mama Brew, thanks for showing up. Primal Cry, cryptids are real. There's the hashtag. We still got to get those shirts made, but you know, I just been trying to figure out different silhouettes. I'm being busy with my own life. I do want to apologize. We do need to
Oh,
get those
yeah,
shirts made.
no
Oh,
problem.
sorry. My own comment. Sorry about that. Looks like Gerald's in. Hey, Gerald, how you doing, brother? Jane Fountain says, hey, Shane, hey, Darkwoods.
Hey, Gene.
Uh, looks like my wife's in the chats as well. She said, hey, everyone. Raven Creek's Charm says, hey, peeps, we bouncing around tonight. And looks like Cryptid 559. He said, hey, there's Javi. He's up in Northern California. He's mid central. He's about 2 hours from my location. So research
Oh,
with him. He's a great researcher. And that's everyone in the chat right now. So I mean, Have you always been a big believer in cryptids as growing up as a child, or were you always kind of skeptical, would you say?
Well, I always knew the name Bigfoot, but I never really gave it any attention or thought. I never
Yeah.
really had an idea or an opinion on it either.
Mhm.
Um, but there was one time we had to sleep my dad was driving far and he was tired. And
Mhm.
down in the Everglades in Florida, they got 2-lane road and there's hardly a shoulder. It's just swamps everywhere.
Yeah.
That was a creepy place to park where there's no lights, and you can hear all the stuff going on in the swamp. But we do remember that at one point in time there was a super foul smell, like a skunk.
Mhm.
And I didn't know till later on, probably in the last 10 years, that skunks don't even live down in the Everglades. So I can imagine what that was.
Now, I bet, being in the cryptid community, I'm thinking instantly skunk ape. You're out in the Everglades, and I mean,
Yeah.
so are you originally from Florida then, or I mean,
I
did you just
spent some
recently?
time in Florida. Yeah, I spent time in Florida, but I'm from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, okay. So you're from Illinois then. Okay. And like you said, you guys had just recently moved to Minnesota, or not Minnesota, Wisconsin, just a few years ago. So, and if you don't, I don't want to know your exact location, but are you pretty close to Bray Road? I mean, that's what Wisconsin's
Oh
famous for in
no.
the cryptid community.
When I lived in Illinois, I was 45 minutes from Bray Road. It was
Oh,
like, yeah, but I'm about 20 minutes from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. So I'm
oh,
way,
okay.
way up there.
Oh, so you're in dogman country.
Yeah,
I mean, same with
exactly.
Sasquatch too, but I mean, Michigan
Yeah.
dogman, Bray Road, Beast of Bray Road. And you're just right in the middle. So but no, I think that's really cool though that you've traveled around the Southern United States and Midwest. Then
Yeah.
have you had
Yeah, I've
any other
never
cryptid
been.
encounters outside of, would you say, let's say Wisconsin, or and I get possibly Florida, even though we can't confirm it was a skunk ape, but I mean,
Right. You know what? Didn't really had any encounters anywhere.
mhm.
After a situation with 2018, because Primacry used to live here before I moved up here,
Oh, okay.
and then I ended up moving up here in 2019. But it's like, in a nutshell, half a tree came off of a part of the forest by our house, but it moved 40 feet through a bunch of other trees and somehow landed on my truck in a bizarre way. And it smashed my Blazer roof all the way down to the dashboard. Totally
Uh-huh.
totaled the truck. It turned the suspension bottomed out, and one of the body mounts turned inside out from the force. And no one woke up. We have a
Wow.
dog that we had a dog that would bark at anything. It would have been the sound equivalent
Mhm.
to like a 40 mile an hour crash, because the windshield was all
Mhm.
busted, the side mirror was out, headlight was broke, grill parts of everything was messed up. But for some reason, when I got a rental car and I went back to Illinois where I used to live, I had this burning sensation to research Bigfoot, and that's how it all started. So now, being a kid, Bigfoot is nothing in my head. After this incident in 2018, I think I became more aware that there might be something out there, and that's how all of a sudden I started seeing things and having encounters. But
Wow.
but up here, I seen I don't even know what it is, but um, by our house, the driveway goes in and it turns, but it continues as a logging road because they went back behind the house and logged out a small section of woods.
Mhm.
So right at the end before the curve, I had a game trail camera up for deer season and all that. And this was in September or sometime, but we have hummingbirds all the time at the bird feeder during summer,
Mhm.
but they already migrated about 2 or 3 weeks ago, so there wouldn't be any around. But I pulled in the driveway and there's this thing flying like a hummingbird, but it had like a 10-inch long body that kind of looked like a wrinkled up old cucumber. And it had wingspans that were like almost a foot wide
Holy
on each
smoke.
wing. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
huge. It was just buzzing up and down in front of the camera. And I'm thinking, what the heck is that? And I'm like, well, at least maybe I got it on the game trail. But it did that for a while, and it flew just like a hummingbird, and then it turned and it flew off into the woods. So I don't know what
Wow.
that was. But
Yeah, I
I
was gonna
heard
say you got a lot
somehow,
of stuff in the woods around your place, deep in the woods.
yeah. Well, some people believe Fae. Some aspects of some of the Fae
Mhm.
could uh, appear different to other people. Maybe that was something like that that we saw, because
Yeah.
we also seen a bright silver orb going through the woods on the other side of the logging road by the house.
Mhm.
Cause I seen it and I was like, oh my gosh! And I told Primer Cry, and she came out. We watched it for about 20 minutes, but it was bobbing up and down about 4 feet off the ground. You could see it illuminate the branches and the trunks of the trees as it went by, and it
Mhm.
was like a silvery blue color. And I took my phone out because I was trying to get a photo, but it was at night and it wouldn't
Mhm.
even show up, not even a dot. It was about, about that big around.
Mhm.
And I had some night vision stuff, so I went and got that. And I looked through there and I couldn't even see it with that either. So I was like, that's weird, but we're seeing it. And then
Yeah.
I got a pair of binoculars and I actually was able to look at it. When I looked at it, you could see it looked like there's energy moving around randomly inside. And
Mhm.
then you know how a sparkler shoots out sparks? You see
Yeah.
like a little line and there's a spark at the end. Well, this thing was dropping off tiny, looks like chips of its roundness. Like it kept coming off in all different directions.
Mhm.
I don't know what that was, but it was the weirdest thing. It would go about a
Man.
couple hundred feet into the woods and then it would turn and come back over to where we were by where the logging road was, and then it'd go back again. But
So
we
do you
didn't
guys
dare
get a
go
lot
over
of
there.
UFO and UAP activity around there? I
No, a lot of people ask. I mean, you where the house is, there's a small hole that you can look through the tree canopy, during the summertime. So
Mhm.
if it's summertime, you ain't gonna see nothing up in the sky. But in the wintertime, you can see a lot of stars and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of satellites and shooting stars. I'm always looking up there, but I've never seen any UFOs or anything like that.
Just that orb, huh? That silver bluish orb going through the woods that night. Man, that
Yeah,
had been a trip though to see. It'd be like, am I really seeing this?
yeah, it was actually kind of unsettling. It was more unsettling to me than witnessing a cryptid.
Oh
It was
wow.
weird
Well, yeah, because it's
because
just so out of the norm, you know?
that's why, and I don't have any understanding of it. It's just what is it?
Yeah. I think a lot of people, they're still trying to grasp our minds around this thing because what is it? I mean, obviously, there's some type of connection with orbs, cryptid sightings, and UFOs. I mean, there's got to be
Absolutely.
something. I mean, I talked to Nick Valente a couple weeks ago, and he told me that he did a survey over like 6 months, and after like 400 reports of people seeing a cryptid sighting, they saw a UFO shortly after. But then that report went from 92% to 94% when 300 more reports were coming in after the survey. So there was 94% of people seeing a cryptid, see a UFO or a light in the sky. So it's just real mind boggling. It's all connected somehow. But I believe for the one answer we do find, we're going to get hit with, three more. So
Oh
that's just,
yeah,
it's just seeing what you've seen. It's just like, man, in just a short amount of time, just 4 years, you and Primal Cry
well,
having a lot of activity up there.
yeah. And that's the thing. There's some people that's been doing it for 30 years and hardly have any evidence or anything. And
Mhm.
I'm not sure if that's a location situation or what, or maybe some people are meant to see these things and maybe some others are not. I don't know. You know.
Yeah, and that's what I agree is with certain people can see different light frequencies as well. I've been listening to certain podcasts, and that's what they've kind of talked about. Maybe these things operate in different light spectrums where the human eye can only pick up a certain amount. So, or and then also having that open, frequency and trying to be on the same frequency as these things. Going into the woods with a negative attitude, saying no, cryptids aren't real. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get any type of sighting or just something telling you, like indicating, hey, this is a cryptid, you got to go in with an open mind. And from what William Nighthawks taught me that, and I'm like, wow, didn't know that. Just thought
Well,
I'd go in with my camera.
I'll tell you the best way to probably have a good encounter is number one, they know you're there before you even get there. So two, you go looking, running around through the woods. I mean, even if you're just patient and you're not disturbing stuff, but you're always looking and moving and seeking them, you're better off just setting up a bonfire, having fun, not like drunken fun and yelling and screaming, but have some positive times, enjoy what you're doing, cook some good food, marshmallows, whatever, and maybe play a flute or a guitar or something. And I guarantee you, under those positive deals, and you're not looking for them, you're not intruding into their area and all that other stuff, they'll come up to you. They'll be in the background. Just look around and listen for, sticks cracking or whatever. But yeah, I would say you have a better chance of having a higher probability of a positive encounter that way.
I'll have to try that out because that's what like we were talking backstage beforehand. I want to get out of the cryptids eventually one day. Like, I do love the whole phenomenon and just all the stuff about it. But eventually there's going to be a day, I did tell myself in the beginning, once I see one of these things, I do want to just be able to move on. And maybe if that's something I could take in from someone that's had encounters like yourself and sightings, I'll definitely try that. And I'd love to, I'm not trying to go out and hunt these things or get the $1 million photo. I just want to be able to see it, to tell myself,
for yourself. And I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
lot of other people too. But you know what? The biggest thing too, I mean, we coexist with these. We've never had any problems. We never had issues with terror or anything like that. Never had fear. But the whole thing is, no, even though we have that kind of situation, you always have to have discernment whenever you're doing this, and you'll know if it's not a good thing. And the best thing to do is to just leave and go the way you can. Go the way you can, because usually that's the safe, the safest way out, because you came that way. But I mean, if they got a sentry blocking you off somewhere, then you got some issues.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Have you ever had any like negative encounter with these things throwing rocks at you in primal cry, or messing with your vehicle? I mean, other than the tree that you were telling me about earlier, have they tried leaving, saying, "Hey, you're too far in, you need to leave," or any type of sign saying, "Hey, you need to back out"?
Yeah, well, with the tree thing, I think Primal Cry and her son was up here, and since they're clan like the Sasquatch, they didn't see a male role model there, so maybe some of them took it upon themselves to keep an eye and protect them and stuff, and then here I am rolling up in my loud blazer with Motley Crue blasting, and I'm like the new kid on the block. Then later on, my truck gets smashed, so and under unusual circumstances. So yeah, but we figured that was like a clan thing, like who's this joker, and whatever. I kept coming up, and then eventually moved in, so they knew I wasn't going away. So and then through the encounter that I had, I guess they feel everything is fine.
Yeah, and like you said, you haven't really they accepted you into the watching over the family, so I thought that was pretty cool. Well, I was gonna, my bad, but I sorry I had a slight delay. I think it's because I'm in my office. Normally I do my interviews in the other room, and so I've got a slight delay. But I wanted to ask, is it okay if we show your pictures and get them up there and with the dogman? Yeah. Okay, let me just share these screens really quick, because I know a lot of people want to see these if they haven't already seen them. But I'll start off with the dogman photo because I know I'm a dogman researcher. So here we go. Let's see. See if we can do this. All right. So here's the first photo. Let me get onto that screen real quick. Can everyone see that all right? I can zoom in a little bit more. I just want to make sure that everyone can see.
Yeah, you know what? Leave it there. And I advise anyone in chat, if you're on a cell phone, you can screenshot this, because there's certain areas you want to zoom in yourself to see for a fact what's going on.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you in this with these photos what's happening. So the photo that you see that's on your right, that's the original photo. And the one that's on the left, I use a white filter to enhance the details of what was there. Because
Do you want me to zoom in a little bit?
what you're looking at, sure, you can do it now.
Okay. Let's see. We'll focus on this
So
photo
yeah,
first.
right
I
there.
mean, I can see it clear as day on my screen. I just don't want to over zoom in on anyone that's, watching from a cell phone or a tablet. It might look pixelated. I don't see anybody saying anything in the comments yet. Oh yeah, Steven Noxian Barrios says he sees it with the nice ears.
Yeah, no. This is
right in here.
This is a jet black female dogman, and she's crouching down. And even when she was crouching down, she was around 4.5 feet tall. But you could see her knee bent out down there. Yep, on the bottom where that cursor is.
I see it.
Now, if you go back up to her head, because we talk about red circles and stuff. There's also another factor that some people can see certain things and other people can't. So that's why I do outline some things in red, just because, even if they're clear.
Yeah, of course.
Because I've had that happen with a lot. It's about people's perspectives, not about pareidolia.
Exactly.
But now, if you zoom in on her head,
right here.
Yeah, and go down a little bit.
Okay. Right there.
Go down a little bit more.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Okay, so now for people who can't quite see this, you could definitely see the ears on top, but her head isn't looking straight at me. It's off on an angle and down slightly.
Like facing this way, right?
Yep, facing
I
that
see the
way.
nose right in here. Like this is her head, like she's facing, looking off to the side.
That's right. And when we get into the white filtered picture, everyone's going to see the details of this, but I want to give references. So see that head? Go straight to your right. Keep going past the tree with your cursor.
Okay. Right. Right in here.
Okay. See that tree that's next to her head?
Right
see
here.
that black dot that's on the side? Yeah, right there. That's actually her hand. And in the white filtered picture, you'll see her fingers. They're not paws. Okay.
Really?
So yeah, if you want to go to the white picture, and we'll zoom in on that. And we'll show all these people. That's why I recommend you guys screenshot this so you can look yourselves.
All right. I've got it zoomed in. Does that look good on your end, brother?
Yeah, the more you could zoom, the better it'd be. That's good.
Okay.
So now
I can go. Perfect.
There you go. Now look at that face on there. You can see the nose right at the end of the muzzle. And both of her eyes both of her eyes are covered with that white branch.
I see
that. Underneath the nose, the nose at the end of the muzzle there, see that white spot down? Like down to the left a little bit. Yeah, that white spot on there, that's like the lip. Yep, right there. That's like the beginning of the lip of her mouth. So it's a nice, decent little, because that ridge, that dark line that goes up behind the nose, up the snout, that's the ridge part of the snout. A lot of people think that's the mouth, but that's not.
No, I don't think that. It's like they're thinking right in here, huh?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, no, I can see it down here would make more sense because they got such massive heads.
Yeah,
man. And like you were saying, with the hands over here,
see those black claw tips on the end of those fingers? There's like two fingers you can see.
Right in here,
You know what's sad? You know what's sad, Shane? Is I took this photo, then when you put it on a computer, which I did, and then I put it on Facebook, which I did, and then I send it to you, which I did. That's many copies of the original photo. Plus I filtered it, which is another copy. So we're going into 5-6 copies. Every time you do that to a digital photo, it degrades it more. So the originals, those fingers stand out crisp. I mean, you can still see them in here, but they're really crisp.
Man, so you do have the written. Did you ever print these out and like have them like framed or put them in for your archives or just save it away? Like, look, I've got a a legit photo of a female dog man. Because I mean, to
Yeah,
me, this is one of the best photos I've seen on a dog man. And I try looking for photos, and I'm never one to ever claim pareidolia on someone's photos. But if I don't see something in someone's photos, I just don't comment on it. But clearly, yours, I mean, you've got the ear tips, you've got the snout. That you obviously can't see the eyes because the branch right there. But I mean, this is one of the best photos I think personally of a female dog man. I mean, someone else show me a clearer photo.
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and what's funny is there was three other cryptids. Remember, there was a young and a dog man, and a young one, and a Sasquatch. Every
Yes.
one of those cryptids had their eyes covered in some form or fashion, either slightly behind a tree, but you could see the rest of the body, or a limb was in the way. Except for the baby dog man. That one actually, you could see its eyeballs. It was looking straight at me. It was behind a tree, up the tree about 5 feet next to mom, and its head was peeking around the corner.
I've seen that one. That's on your Facebook
Yeah,
page. So
that's on my group
I,
in my
I
on Facebook.
know you only sent me the 3 photos that I'm able to share, but if anyone wants to go see that photo, you still have. Did I lose you?
It
Let's
was
see.
cutting out a little
You
bit.
there?
We got it.
That's probably my service, brother. My apologies, but you still have the photo of the baby dog man on your group, right? Is it still active?
My group is on pause, but anyone can go in there. And if you're on a cell phone, you hit the announcement tab, or you'll find it at the top of the page called features. And in there, you'll have to scroll deep. But the deeper you scroll, you'll see all my evidence, everything that I have, and stuff that I wrote about the evidence on there. So
Oh, right
people
on.
people interested in doing that, they just look in the group for Primal Cry in the Dark Woods.
Yeah, and then if I'm still able to share it, I'll share it onto the West Coast pages and share
Yeah,
that so if people are curious and they want to see it. I mean, like I said, you've got such great evidence, brother. Let me see if I can get the other photos popped up. Let me see if I can. Oh, here we got the one of the print. Now, is this a Sasquatch print? Because I'm just looking in. When I was looking at it earlier, I was like, that does not look like a dogman print, just because of how big the print is itself. See if I can zoom
yeah,
in a little bit.
that is a Sasquatch print right there.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just
Now,
looking at the size. I'm just sitting there thinking 20 foot looks like Shaq times 2.
yeah, that's I thought it was a 23-inch print, but there is a tracker that looked at it, and he's well known as a tracker, so
Mm,
he says that it's 26 inches because it's at the end of the tape measure. There's a stick running across,
uh-huh.
and you can tell where it stepped on that. But
Oh, I see.
by the orange body of the tape measure, that's where the toes are.
Yeah.
Now this print, remember I told you there's a logging road next to our house, and they logged out a small area.
Yeah.
So I go back there looking because I hunt deer and stuff like that. So I went back there looking for tracks, and I came across that. And those landscaping equipments, they have big tires, and that's
Mhm.
actually on the side of a rut. And so the print's on a 45-degree angle.
Mm.
And where the body of the tape measure is, you can see the toes, and you can see how they were curled up and they slid down a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, right
Yeah, you
there.
can see right. Oh, I'm pointing at it with my own hand. I'm all zooming in on my monitor. My bad. I meant to say, like, yeah, it's right here. I totally see it, but you can see the indentation where it goes inwards. So no, I totally see that. That's one of the best prints I've seen of a print. I mean, I know there's a lot of good, Bigfoot researchers, and I've seen a lot of evidence and really good stuff. And this is one of the, better photos. And I mean, like
Yeah,
you can
but
clearly see that it's, hominid looking.
if you do the math, 26-inch footprint, you're pushing almost 2,000-pound creature.
Oh, easily. And probably what,
You
11 feet tall?
Well, in the photo, I took this photo on April 20th, and in the winter time is when I got that photo of the 14-foot Sasquatch I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And I think this is the same guy. So, and that would make
Oh,
sense. It would be around 13, 14 feet with a 26-inch footprint.
Oh, easily. And like you said, how you could just see that he would cover up the whole branch or the whole tree log. He was on both sides. So, I mean, if you had to guesstimate, brother, how far across would you say from shoulder to shoulder was it? Would you say 5 to 6 feet?
Oh
If not,
yeah, we're pushing close to 5. I don't think it was like 6, but it was definitely 5 something, maybe a little
wow,
over. But
man,
it was, no neck type, It was
mhm.
just a straight massive shoulder thing that came out and huge arms. The finger Shane was like 4 of my fingers, each one of its fingers. They're just massively huge.
Wow, just
Yeah,
just a beast in itself.
it is. It's I could see that thing pulling massive trees out. Oh, go back
Yeah.
to the footprint photo real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. My bad. Sorry.
That's all right.
See-
I wanted to tell you. So there's a bunch of dead plant material you see all around there because it's springtime.
mhm,
So when this Sasquatch stepped down, you could tell it stuck to the bottom of its foot because it left a clear print there.
mhm.
So that line that you had your cursor on, that middle
Right in
line
here.
of debris, yeah, that did not pick up when it stepped down. And that's because that's that mid tarsal break in the middle of the foot.
Oh, that makes perfect
So
sense. Okay.
that totally, yeah, at first I didn't realize. And then I'm looking at it, I'm like, no way, that's the joint. So that right there shows because I understood all the plant material stuck to the rest of the foot.
I see that now.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can zoom it out. See where I want to kind of just zoom a little bit more into where the toe indentions are up here, up by the orange tape measure. Because you can clearly see
Well, that,
that it digs
it's down
into it.
further, Shane. It's down further. Keep going down with your cursor. Up, go up a little bit. It's right
See if I can
there, those lines. Because
this
what
way.
you're looking at, no,
Okay.
you just go up a little bit. Okay, right there. Now, see where the body of the tape measure
Up.
is?
Uh-huh.
Now, what you're looking at is actually the wall. It's like a cliff wall of mud before the print made. The print's at the bottom of that wall. So if you go down to the bottom where you could
Right here.
see, let me see, grab my glasses.
Mhm.
Where's your cursor at? Okay. If you go underneath the,
I
yep,
got the
right there,
cursor
go
right here
straight
on the
down.
orange tape measure now.
Okay. Go straight down.
Straight down
I'll
right
tell you
here.
right there. Yep. Now go over to your
Mhm.
right. Keep going to your right.
Uh-huh.
Right there. Now go up a tiny bit more. Right there. See those lines that are curving downward? There's like a line, you could see
Mhm.
like a toe,
Right in here, huh?
Yeah. See the lines that go downward on an
Mhm.
angle to the right of your cursor? Because those are the toe parts there, the tips of the toes. And then that's the
Mhm.
length of the toes right there.
Right here. Huh?
Yep.
Oh,
That's where all the
okay.
toes, they all slid
I was
down
looking
on
at
an
it a little
angle.
different. I was looking more towards at an angle.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it was on the side
Yeah.
of a rut of a trucking road.
Exactly. Yep. And some of the ball of the foot
Makes
kind of
that makes
disturbed the
perfect
mud
sense.
behind the toe. Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
man.
an actual massive Sasquatch print.
Man, did you ever go back and cast this? Because I'm just sitting there thinking, like, man, this would be good to just say, hey, there's Bigfoot around here. I got the print, like you had said, just man, this would be
Well,
awesome evidence.
yeah, I didn't have any casting stuff, but the picture pretty much explains itself. It's a really good photo of one.
Yeah, it really is. 26. That just still blows my mind, brother. I'm just like, man, these creepy things are in the woods. No, I wouldn't say creepy. It's just terrifying. I mean, to see something that massive being 14 feet tall and,
Yeah,
easily 2,000 pounds, but man,
it's a brute.
26-inch. What did Noxium say? He said, okay, brother, it's okay to carry a small biological kit. Get out the debris with a teasing needle. Yeah. That would definitely be the way to do it. He's
Yeah,
Steven Anoxium. He's been interviewed by Carlito as well, and he's got really good prints and evidence and stuff
nice.
from. I think he's tracking more of a skinwalker slash almost werewolf dogman up near the Lake Tahoe here in California. He did track it. I believe it was up in his cabin last year, wasn't it, Noxium? I believe. I
That's
have
crazy.
to. Yeah, he shared some of the pictures, I believe, on Carlito's page on Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom. So he's got some really good stuff up there. Want to do a shout out real quick to Casual Conversations with G&A. Hello. Thanks for joining
Hey,
us.
Jimmy.
Yeah. And then, so you want me to move on to the next photo now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Now you want to explain
Okay.
this photo?
Yeah. So we'll zoom in a little bit.
Okay.
In this photo, I'll explain what I was doing. I was heading back to the river that's behind the house, about 10-minute walk. And like I said, there's woods 360 around the house. So I had to go through all these woods to get back there. And I passed through a really big area that had nothing but 4-foot ferns. So when I went through that, I was thinking, man, that looks so beautiful. So I turned around and I squatted down to take a picture of the ferns. And later on, I noticed you could see I did a red outline on this forest person. And on the very top of its head, you can actually physically see 2 ears, the top of a skull, an eye socket, and then the rest of it is cloaked. And you can
Wow.
see how it's cloaked and it blends into the background. But that's a
It
dog
does.
man. Yeah, that's a dog
You know, that's
man. That,
one thing I wanted to ask you was I first see a dogman because I see the snout down here, where
yeah,
it look like the end of the muzzle, and then the 2
yep.
eyes right in here. So I mean, like you say,
So
eyes can play tricks on people, but this clearly doesn't, because you, like in the other photo, you see the ears.
yeah. And that's the thing. The camera is not gonna, it can create pareidolia, but when you have too many things that are realistic looking, then pareidolia is not even in the picture anymore, because you
Yeah.
can definitely see the ears and the top part of the skull. You can see the brow ridge and then part of its left eye socket. Then the rest
Yep.
of the stuff is blurred, but like you said, you can kind of still see the snout, but you can see foliage through it, or it's reflecting the foliage or something. But that's a dog man that it must have been cloaking when I stopped and I turned to take a photo, and I got it before it was fully cloaked. But
Fully
the top
cloaked.
part of
Yeah.
his head was the top part of his head wasn't cloaked yet. But
Well,
that he is standing right where I came out on the trail. So he was following me to the river, and I had no idea he was there.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, this
So
is, it gets me because, like you said, with the cloaking, obviously that they've done DNA samples on the Sasquatch hair, and then there's been theories on about how these things can bend light, and our cameras can only pick up certain light spectrums. So, I mean, you, like you said, you turned around, bent over, got the photo of him before he fully cloaked. So maybe the light spectrum only caught 99% of it, but that's the 1% we're seeing with the ears and top of the skull, and obviously the snout and the left eye socket.
right. But the thing is when I turned and took a photo, I didn't even see that was there. It wasn't until I was looking at the photo later that I noticed something weird about it. Because when you zoom out of there, you can see all the ferns and you can see how small that thing is. Well,
Oh
that's
yeah.
behind a bunch of branches, but yeah, there's in the original photo, there's a bigger picture and there's a ton of ferns, and that's a tiny little blip. But I noticed that ear first sticking out in part of a head, and I'm like, what's that? So that's a zoomed in photo, and then you can see it. But you can even see the blurring goes all the way down to an arm underneath that fern leaf down there.
Right in there, huh?
Because you can see it's blurred. That's how you can tell that it was there, because that's all blurred in a uniform fashion compared to the background. And that's how you can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, and you can you almost see the silhouette of the figure almost.
Right.
I mean, the dog man, obviously the ears and the top of the head stick out, but I mean, like we were saying earlier, it breaks up right here, and then like its body, like it's crouched down right over there. I mean,
Well,
like that.
I think he was standing up, and according to the way the woods was, and I was doing an understanding of how tall it was, I was thinking it was anywhere between 8 and 10 feet tall.
Oh, big boy then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, say he had a big one following you.
But the ones that I seen, like the first picture, they have, I don't know what variant type it is, if it's variant one type one or whatever, but it's
Mhm.
more the wolf looking type that I've seen up here. And that one kind of has the same thing. So,
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. It's got more of the timber wolf look to it, right? It's not
oh, not
the
really like a black wolf, like a regular, like we have slate gray wolves up here. They're massive. You could almost
mhm.
put a saddle on them and ride them around.
Oh
But they
shoot.
come up back here in the behind the house. I got a photo in my group. You should go check out all those photos I got at the group, Shane, because
Yeah, oh
I have
yeah.
a 20 I have a $20 bill on the ground, and there's a print, a snow print of a wolf track, and it's almost as big as the $20 bill, long wise. They're big.
Man, you guys are feeding them good up there because I think the average size of a wolf track, isn't it like 5 inches, I think in length, 5.5, and then I think it's only like 3.5 inches wide. So
Yeah. Well, I think a dollar bill is like 6 inches or something. I can't remember.
okay.
It's close, but yeah, when you look at that's why I always put some kind of money down because everybody, knows the size of a dollar bill or whatever, or
Mhm.
sometimes a bit lighter. But
Yeah, that's the size
but you'll,
reference, right?
yeah, but you'll see how big that thing is, and it's huge. And that's how you hear them every once in a while here. But we had three or two of them that kept coming up in the backyard for um, probably about 5 or 6 times one year. I haven't seen them
Wow.
since.
So you guys haven't had any recent dogman activity with especially with the sightings around Wisconsin. It seemed like there was 3 reports that I know of within since February. I think I've heard of dogman
Oh,
sightings, but of course it's going to be Bray Road, in that area. But still,
yeah.
have you guys haven't had anything recently on the dogman?
Um. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I think I did an interview, a live one like this, but I was back in
Mhm,
my woods, because I do a lot of interviews out in the woods. And at night, I
mhm.
had a lot of people see eye shine and things moving around in the woods in the background. And we actually caught some things, and I have photos, evidence of that, during a live show with in at Impromptu Truth. I
Oh
was doing a
wow,
show for those guys, yeah. And I was sitting in front of a small face cord, and
nice.
a real tiny baby dog man climbed up over the top of the face cord. And Primal Cry was out there, and we have a thing that we do whenever there's sounds or something's going on because we kept hearing stuff throughout the podcast. I could hear
Uh,
sticks breaking behind me and all kinds of things. But she took photos and she caught that photo, and you can see this little baby dog man coming up over the face cord, and the wood pieces were only like 3 or 4 inches wide, and its skull
mhm.
was only that big, so it was
Oh wow.
tiny.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
Yeah,
just had
but
that must have been an infant then.
exactly, but it was climbing up the side and coming over the top, and you can see its arm out, and all you can see the hand, the fingers, and all the claws stuck in the wood. So
Wow.
here's one thing that most people don't know. I came across two other people in the cryptid community who have witnessed this,
Mhm.
and the photo of this baby dog man, when I looked at the eyeballs, puppy eyes are equivalent to the size of their head. They're kind of small. But this dog man infant, the eyes are huge. They're like big almond shape, but they were jet black, like they were
Mhm.
soulless looking. And I couldn't get that out of my head. I'm like, what the heck? Why would their eyes look like that? So a couple months later, I got my answer, and this person I heard on Patina B. Moss, the Crypto Normal channel she has, she interviewed a guy who witnessed a dog man coming up at him, and its eyes kept flickering. It would be normal where you could see the white and the
Oh
pupil
yeah.
would go solid black. And what I found out was they have another eyelid that comes up from the bottom, and it can cover their whole eye, and that
Mhm.
other eyelid is jet black. And Jeremiah Fountain encountered a Sasquatch
Interesting.
that has the same thing.
Yes, I just talked to Jeremiah. I interviewed him actually on our Sasquatch podcast about 2 weeks ago, and he told me that
Yeah.
when you started explaining that, I was like, where have I heard this from? So, Well, yeah, no,
Yeah.
Jeremiah mentioned that too. So, wow.
But right there in my group, I got photographic evidence from Cry of you could see the eye shields, they're all jet black. And the thing was, I had a 4-foot light bar during the interview that I used, so you could see
Mhm,
me and all that, and some of the woods around. And it's good for casting eye shine if something's back there. But
mhm.
I think it had the eyelids up because it was really bright there. And I also believe they use them naturally. Because if you ever shoot a deer and you look at their eyes with a flashlight, you can see scratches and stuff in the eyeballs, you know.
Because
And
of the
so that's
branches and
one
stuff.
yeah. So I think the dog men have that, and so does Sasquatch, you know, for protecting their eyes out there, and probably for fighting and stuff as well. And who
Yeah.
knows? I mean, some of these animals, at least the dogmen, may eat animals where they put their heads inside the body to grab things, you know, and
Mhm.
that might be another thing for protection. But think about this: if they could do that and raise a eyelid that's probably thick for protection and it's jet black, you're not going to see any eye shine if you're out there shining a flashlight.
Yeah, exactly. Just like how like a great white, they have that same exact shield when they go up and attack the seals and stuff. Their eyes roll back, but they have that almost like a cloud, like you said. But theirs isn't black. I don't believe. I think theirs almost looks
No,
white, right? I think
yeah,
if I wasn't mistaken, but yeah, like you
yeah,
said, if it's fighting purposes or something, but if you're out there with a flashlight, you're not going to see anything in the woods. It's going to be,
no.
pitch black.
That's
So
right. So that's something to know when you're out there. You know, you may hear something and shine a light, but you know, if they got black fur, they're in a shaggy area of terrain. You're not
mhm.
going to see it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Maybe that's why I try to go out during the day because I mean, for my own safety and for my wife's safety, we're just kind of like, even though I love to go to LBL and just check out, just going deep in the woods at nighttime because that's where you're going to get the most activity. I do believe these things are nocturnal, so that's where you're going to get the best activity. I personally believe, but then again, it's all theory based. So, unless you
Well,
actually live
I
among
think
these things like you do, I mean, you're living out in the sticks with them.
Well, I'll tell you what, even if you are in rural areas, I bet you everyone lives with these things. They just don't
Mhm.
see them as much. And, you know, people who don't really have much of an interest in it, they're not going to be looking in certain ways to actually see if that's something there. You know, one of the
Exactly.
biggest things when I'm out in the woods, if I see a dark spot in the woods, I check it out, you know, and then it could just be shadowing, you know, because of the sunlight and the canopies and whatever, or it could be
Mhm.
a dark tree trunk or something. But other times, all of a sudden, you're like, okay, that's not what that is, you know, that's something else.
That's something that's just not jet black. It absorbs the light. Those are two red flags in the cryptid community. If it absorbs the light, is it a
Yeah,
Bigfoot or is it a dog man? I mean, who knows? So, well, brother, we're coming
yeah.
up on the 1 hour mark right now. Is where can people find you? I don't want to take up all your time, and I really do appreciate having you on. But did you have anything you want to say, or where can people find you? Or
Yeah, well, first off, if you don't mind if I would make an announcement real quick.
yeah, go ahead. Platform's yours.
Okay, cool. So, to all the people out there, I had a nice 4-year run doing this, but I'm getting out of it totally. My Facebook group is on pause for a reason because of that. But like I said, you know, you can go in if you want to join and go in the group. You'll be able to see all my evidence and stuff in the features. You just won't be able to comment or make any posts. So, but yeah, Cry and I talked about it, and we just want to get back to things how they used to be, you know, and we know pretty much, I can't say 100% because nobody's an expert, but we're pretty sure we know what they are. And like I said, we coexist with them. The encounters I had, there is no fear, terror, or doom, but at the same time, use great discernment. But yeah, so lucky for you, this is my last interview I'm going to do as well.
I
And
appreciate it,
oh,
man. It's a true
yeah, no
honor. It
problem.
really is, brother.
Hey, I enjoyed being here, Shane. I like you a lot. You got a lot of good evidence too. I seen some of the tree structures stuff that you found and everything out there. So it
Thank you,
pays off
brother.
to go during the day. You know, you'll find a lot more during the day of stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
just a little bit. But you've been doing this a lot longer. I've been only doing it for about a year or so. But so I'm barely just hitting the tip of the iceberg myself. So
You know what's funny, Shane, is remember I told you the best way to encounter one is do it the positive way with a bonfire and have fun or
yeah,
whatever. So I'm not really a researcher. I just live here and I do my own thing and they're there, you
and
know?
they come to
So
you.
yeah, so it's not like I go looking for them or anything weird. They just happen to be there. They appear. We hear things. I got audio recordings and stuff.
Mhm.
I had small rocks thrown at me, but to make a long story short, I was working on a car and it wasn't working, and I was getting red mad, you know. So all of a sudden, these little rocks came out way from up in the sky, hitting leaf canopies and coming down. And they'd land by me, and I'm like, "What's that?" And I got out front of the car, and every 30 seconds, one would drop down, one would drop down. Well, it was more like every 10 seconds, but it wasn't. There was no squirrels or nothing up in the tree. There was nothing like that, and I could see the arc of it. It was coming from elsewhere, like it had to be
Oh
thrown. You know?
yeah, and these things have such precision accuracy. I mean, like they're
Yeah,
Tom Brady's out in the woods just throwing these little rocks to mess with you.
yeah,
You know, it's just
exactly.
man.
And
And if they
every one
wanted to
of
hit you,
them,
they would hit you.
exactly, and every one of them landed exactly where the first one landed. And I think what happened there was they probably didn't like the bad mojo I was vibing out of me, being
Mhm.
all mad and stuff, you know. So they did that, and it did change it. I was like real curious. I forgot about being mad or the car I was working on or whatever, you know.
Oh
So maybe
yeah,
for that reason. But it kind of showed me how they operate. And like I was saying earlier, you want to go out there being positive. You know, when you encounter a dog, if you have fear, the dog's gonna know. You know,
exactly.
regular animals know. So these things are way more intelligent, highly intelligent, way more intelligent. We could never outsmart or think these things. But
Oh, for
um,
sure.
but whatever the case is, you know, from coexisting with them, I could tell they they have love, they're positive, and they have respect. As long as that's what you're giving them, then you got good grounds, you know. And
Exactly.
you're always gonna have the rogue one or the rotten apple in the bunch, you know, and you'll know when that happens. I'll
Oh
tell you
yeah,
that.
I've heard plenty
Yeah,
of encounters when you come across a rogue one, and it's a
yeah,
yeah, it's bad.
it's bad though. But fortunately we never had that issue. So
Yeah. Well, brother, I mean, it's sad to kind of see you not going to be doing any more interviews, or I was like, part of me really wants a part two to see the other photos to share with everyone, but I totally respect with what you and Primal Cry are doing. And are you guys still going to be around, like in the cryptid community, like in podcasts, like in the chat rooms, and just checking the podcasts out, maybe once a month or so, or
yeah, you know, you'll find me you'll find me in the chat. And as I was explaining how I was getting rid of the interviews and all the other stuff, I'm
Mhm.
even going to change my YouTube name. You'll no longer see Darkwood. So you'll see me
Oh.
in chat. You'll see me in chat, but I'll have a different name and a different avatar picture.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I'll definitely be looking at every because I watch a lot of podcasts, so I'll definitely keep an eye open for you and Primal Cry for sure. Because you
Yeah,
guys are
well,
so awesome and
I appreciate that. You're awesome too. But
appreciate it, brother.
you'll know it's me when you see a certain name. You'll know it's me. So
If we also got to keep the hashtag going though, the hashtag cryptids are real.
yeah,
If you throw that
yeah.
out there, you know it's you. You
Okay.
or Primal Cry.
I'll make sure to do that.
All right, brother. Well, hey, it's been such a true honor, and like I said, it's a huge honor to be your last, podcast that you're doing an interview with. And like I said, I'd love to have you on a part two, but I respect you. Hats off to your 4 years of research and enjoy life outside of cryptids, and you didn't let it consume you like some people. It's consumed me, but I've got to
Yeah,
learn to back away myself. So, and then slowly I'm going to be doing that, and because I got the baby on the way, and slowly cutting
yeah.
back. So by August, September, I'll be probably at only 5% instead of 105%. So
Yeah. Well, you'll still enjoy that 5%. And
oh yeah.
the whole thing is once you start thinking about, oh, I want to see a dogman or a Sasquatch or anything like that, they're spiritual beings and they come in a spiritual way, because they can do supernatural things that are not of the flesh, but they are also flesh and blood,
Yes.
So the thing is, when you're dealing with them and you're putting all your focus, because your energy goes where your attention flows,
Mhm.
or I think it's backwards how I said it.
It's
But,
all good. I mean,
yeah, whatever.
I'm
But
pretty sure everyone
but either
got what
either way though, when you're doing that,
saying.
you may be inviting other things without even knowing about it, so I give that warning as well. So
There you are.
yeah. So can you hear me?
Sorry, my service sucks, brother.
Oh yeah.
My bad. I didn't catch the last part.
I was just
Are you
saying
there?
when you
My apologies.
yeah,
Oh, there you are.
no problem. I was just saying that when you put most of your focus into this, you might attract other things. So just be careful how much effort and time in your life you put into it.
Yeah, and that's something I definitely will, definitely try to keep an eye on and not let it consume me or put too much into it. So I appreciate everything you've done and what you've shared with us, and just knowing you for the last year, you and Primal Cry. Met you guys on Carlito's show, so I met a lot of cool people on his. So shout out to Carlito, and shout out to Tom Cardos as well. So I mean, everyone that's interviewed. Jessica Jones has interviewed you. I've seen your podcast with her and so many other podcasters. And so it's been a true honor to be added to that list and have you on, or be, on your list of podcasters.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate it though, Shane. I was excited when you asked me to come on your show because you were one of the shows I really like to do. So
I appreciate that.
Very grateful for that.
And I truly appreciate having you on, brother. Like I said, like always, I'll still have you as a friend on Facebook. So I'll still message you here and there and check in and see how life is with you. So
yeah, same here. I can't wait to see pictures of your little one coming.
Oh, they'll be up in December. So I'll definitely keep you posted.
There you go.
All right, brother. Well, hey, thanks again so much. And you and Primal Cry, have a good evening, okay?
All right, you too. You and your wife and family, blessings.
Thank you, brother.
Take care,
you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Man, that was an awesome interview, everyone. I love that guy. He's such an awesome man and great evidence. Remember, go check out his group before he deletes it. It's Primal Cry in the Dark Woods. And you can check out all those Dark Woods' photographs, and same with Primal Cries. So looks like that's pretty much the only 3 photos I had. So yeah, next week we're going to be interviewing Christelle. She's out of Oregon. She's had a couple dogman encounters, and she's going to explain them to us. I believe that's on the 15th. So we'll be interviewing her 6:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Central. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks again for watching.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power.